Staying with football, refereeing is one of the most thankless jobs of sport. Plaudits are far and few in between, but criticism always the loudest, especially when mistakes occur. A man who knows this all too well, particularly in African football, is assistant referee Zakhele Siwela. The experienced whistleman joins me in studio now to actually chat about this most polarizing job that you do have. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with that. So how did you start with the whistle? Most people, obviously, the normal route is you were a player before, but how did you become an officiator?
Yeah, I played football before. At the age of 16, I started refereeing. You know, in the township, every team had to have a referee for them to have a referee for every match that they play. So none of my teammates wanted to be referees. So I just said to my coach, because we're struggling every time to play every week, there's no referee for us. So let me just take over. And that's how it started. Yeah,
and the sacrifice, though. I mean, if you have your friends playing in the field and you not, didn't you miss it?
Look, at one stage I used to referee and play, and it would take a toll on the body. And eventually I got to a point where I said to my teammates, guys, I'm now following refereeing. I'm leaving football, and none of them believed, and that's how the journey went.
Yeah, and you never look back and think.
Look, I always say football is a game of luck. I mean, if you're lucky enough to make it as a footballer, you'll be very lucky. But if there's another opportunity, refereeing was another opportunity for me, then I followed refereeing.
Yeah, speaking of that, opportunities, you know, we've seen our referees in the biggest football stages around the world, especially recently the World Cups, and of course continental football tournaments. What do you believe South Africa is doing right in terms of birthing these referees that are called to be on these tournaments?
Look, what we are doing is developing referees proper. I think the most important thing is it's not for referees to jump stages. I think if a referee is properly developed, he's able to cope with the pressures that comes with refereeing at a high level.
Yeah, you speak about development. I mean, there's not much of that. I have never seen a development school or development for referees, that is. So how is that structure, and for anyone who doesn't know, how do they go about finding those avenues?
Refereeing belongs to the Football Association. So everything starts with the structures of Football Association. So refereeing starts at LFA level. So for every LFA, they must have referees structures there sitting and waiting for people to come and join. And there are people that are taking them through paces. So like you have your instructors for fitness, you have your instructors for theory and technical structures.
And this is quality structures that we have in South Africa?
It's quality structures.
Okay. Speaking of like the type of pressures and what you have to go through in terms of to be able to make it as a referee in this country, it is definitely a huge part of the pressure that comes with that, especially for you. And the individuals, obviously, you guys have to be clear about the law that you apply in the field. What's sort of the most challenging aspect of the job have you faced? Is somebody, for example, you are at a venue where there's a lot of fans trying to intimidate the ref. What has your experience been like? Look,
in every game, you have expectations. I think that as much as the crowd expect their teams to deliver, the referee is also expected to deliver. And already, if you go for a big game, you already have pressure. You know, it builds up during the week when the whole hype of the game is spreading around the whole country or the whole continent in a way. So there is pressure, and I think for us it's just to relax and just be ready for the big game.
Yeah, for you, can you remember an incident where you could hear these fans trying to influence the decision of the referees as you as the linesman there?
Look, there's a lot of games that I've done, and I think some of the games are the worst, some of the games are the best, and I think in this country you can never compare the Soweto Derby to any other game. So the pressure that comes with the Soweto Derby is too much.
Yeah, was it the Pirates fans or Chiefs fans?
Both, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, because they sit together, you can't even tell. But there's obviously the Africa Cup of Nations coming up in Ivory Coast next year. Officials, they'll be shortlisted soon. What sort of review system do you guys go through to be able to qualify? And do you even know if you're in the running?
Yeah, I'm already being shortlisted for the African Cup of Nations. Look, what we go through is we have a workshop prior to the AFCON. So we will be having a workshop next month, going to Ivory Coast for a 6-day workshop. I think the first thing that we'll do a fitness training, which is normally a fitness test, to go to see that we are ready to partake in the African Cup of Nations, because I mean it's the biggest cup in the entire continent.
Yeah, what sort of fitness do you go through? Like, do you have to be fitter than the players?
Look, we have a different structure of fitness compared to the players. They do certain type of fitness tests, and we have a certain type of fitness test. So there are the two types of fitness tests. One is the RET, and the other one is the high intensity fitness test. So depending on the conditions, normally the high intensity would be done prior to the competition, and then when you get to the competition, we'll do the RET one.
What's the requirement? Like bring it to layman's terms. If you run how fast? What's a beep test?
In a layman's term, we have to do almost 10 laps. It is divided into...
How long is a lap?
A lap is almost a minute, but you run 15 seconds. Rest 18 seconds, you run another 15, and the 15 seconds is ran within the 75-meter length.
So they're trying to see how many laps you can do?
You have to do 10. You can't do less than 10. If you do less than 10, you failed.
Okay. Wow. Do you have to do more?
You can do more, but normally we just do 10.
Like
we'll keep it at 10, yeah. So we don't show off.
Oh, wow. So you are fitter than most players, I know. So there's obviously, like as I mentioned, this is a very thankless job, and it's very polarizing. As football fans, we watch and we're like, no, the ref got it wrong there. So there's been a call for VAR. Do you believe that the country needs a VAR, and is it ready for VAR?
Look, with so much that is happening in the country in terms of refereeing, I think VAR is the call, and I think we need to get to VAR because the whole entire world is leaving us behind, and I think the country needs VAR so that we can eradicate the mistakes that are happening weekly and make sure that the game has the best decisions all the time.
What sort of logistics go into bringing such a service in the country?
It's finance.
Oh.
Look, VAR, once VAR is introduced, there is no match that won't play without VAR. So whether the game is live or not, VAR has to be live.
Okay.
So we definitely need staff. We need money and a lot of people to be trained.
That'll be obviously on SAFA's dime, not PSL.
Look, at this present juncture, I can't comment on that one.
But what lessons do you believe that have been learned now about VAR? Obviously, there's been incidents, especially in European football, where they don't get things right. I mean, even with that video technology, they get things wrong.
Yeah, I think people must understand that irrespective whether we have VAR or not, it's still human beings that sits in front of the monitor, and they are bound to make mistakes because they are human beings.
Yeah, and because the thing is, you would think that solves everything then, but also it slows down the game. So what as a ref do you believe are I mean, we've seen the shortcomings, obviously, and you mentioned that the human errors, but like, how does it impact the game, do you believe?
Look, VAR does not impact the game that much. I think referees need to be fit. They need to be able to see the decisions. VAR is just an additional eye that they need. So if I'm in the best position to see a decision, I don't need VAR. I will make a decision, VAR will confirm the decision. But if we have poor refereeing, it then leads to a lot of stoppage because you have to go to the monitor to see your mistakes. You have to come back and recorrect your mistakes. So it will take time if we get decisions wrong in the field and they need to be corrected by VAR.
Yeah, but sometimes the offside is like a haze. You can't even measure with my little finger, my nail, and it's like they'll call it offside. That surely should, you know what I mean? So that, I think as a football fan, I think that's what kills the game, because that's a decision that a ref could have made and be like, okay, it's just a haze measure of
that's why FIFA is currently running a trial in 3 countries where they say if part of your body is level with part of the body of an opponent, you should not be offside. But it's still a tryout, so it's not something concrete as yet.
So there's some good news coming.
So something of a sort is getting solved. I mean, offside is very, very tricky law in itself. So when you have to apply it, it becomes even worse.
No, because VAR is not making it any easier. Those offsides, Yeah.
Well, that's what you want. That's what you want. You want no mistakes in the games, so let's not get mistakes.
No, human errors is part of the game. That's what makes a game exciting. You watch it for that maybe one day, like, the ref, a call will go, on your team side. Just for once, you win the league because the ref made a mistake. Who cares? You won the league.
The thing is that you might be the one who advocates for mistakes, and somebody else might not be advocating for mistakes, and somebody might be bashing the poor referee. Yesterday you make a mistake, yeah, we lost because of you, and now I lost something on Betway because of you. That's the thing that we come across every time when we travel around.
Yeah, well, how do you handle the criticism that you get from the coaches? I mean, fans are fine, but like the coaches,
Look,
because also you have to understand from the coaches' perspective, those are people whose jobs depend on the decisions that you guys make on the field.
Look, it's a game of mistakes. I always tell coaches and anybody else around to say, look, football is a game of mistakes. It's not only referees that make mistakes. Players make mistakes. Coaches make mistakes. Administrators make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. So we should accept that a referee would make a mistake because he's as human as you. So sometimes the coaches understand, sometimes they don't understand.
I mean, I wouldn't understand if I got fired because of a decision that you made. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you tonight, Mrs. Siwela. Thank you so much for your time. And that was Zakhele Siwela, the SA assistant referee, looking at the state of football in this country, especially in terms of refereeing.